everybody. Welcome to the January 26, 2021 Yuma County Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Thank you everybody for joining this afternoon. Want to go ahead and call the meeting to order and verify quorum, please.
Okay. Tom Warner.
Present.
Ron Rice.
Present.
John McKinley. Sam Bowers. Danny Bryant.
Present.
Matias Rosales.
Present.
Bobby McDermott.
Present.
Gary Black.
Here.
Wayne Idy. Paul White.
Here.
Chairman, you do have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Do we have a flag for the screen?
I don't see Javier and I don't see him logged in, so I don't have a flag.
All right, if you guys have your flags at your location, could we please stand up? I know we have one at the hall, so pledge allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States
of America, for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
liberty
and
justice for all.
Thank you, everybody, for that. Apologize for the screen not showing it if you're having it online. Item number my reading things.
Do you see it?
What is it? There you go. Sorry.
Okay.
Just in case for anyone that's there present, if you park in the rear employee gated parking lot, please move your vehicle to the front north parking lot to avoid having your vehicle locked in. Please sign in on the sign-in sheet at the table by the rear of the door. Please state your name and address for the record before speaking at the podium or through Zoom. That goes for both people on Zoom or in person. There is a 3-minute timer for those who wish to speak. The chairman may or may not decide to let the speaker continue after the 3 minutes have been exhausted. Those who are present via Zoom, please remember to mute your microphone throughout the meeting when you're not speaking. Thank you guys, and I appreciate you guys following the rules there. Make this easy for everyone. Item number 3, elect the chairman. Okay, I was gonna say that one before. Okay. Item number 3, elect a chairman for the Yuma County Planning and Zoning Commission for calendar 2021. So it appears that I'm getting fired. So this item is on the agenda. So I open this up for anyone for comments. Per our bylaws, we need to rotate the chairman every 2 years. So not because I'm being fired, I did something wrong. You know, I did ask for a raise, it didn't help. But do you have that paper that you had on the screen right now, Amber?
Yeah.
Guidelines or
The bylaws, yes.
yeah, for reference.
Mr. Chairman, would you accept a nomination?
Yes, sir, Mr. White.
I would nominate Commissioner Bryant.
Okay.
Second.
Who was the second from?
Ron Rice.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rice. All right, any further discussions from anyone else on the panel or from the commissioners? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any against say nay. Motion passes. Chairman Bryant, agenda is for you.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you to all. So the next item on tonight's agenda, item number 4, is to elect a vice chairman for the Yuma County Planning and Zoning Commission calendar year 2021. Is there nominations?
Mr. Chairman, this is Ron Rice. I'd like to nominate Paul White.
I will second that.
We have a nomination and a second for Paul White. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor of Ron White serving as vice chairman for year 2021, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Mr. Vice Chairman White, you're elected, sir.
Thank you.
Congratulations. I think you've been there a few times. You've been there a few times before.
Maybe too many.
All right, item number 5 on tonight's agenda is approval of the Planning and Zoning Commission regular minutes of December 17th, 2020. Everyone's had a chance to review them. A motion to approve is in order.
Mr. Chairman, this
Mr.
is
Chairman,
Black.
this,
I'll make a motion to approve.
Mr. Black makes the motion to approve, and Mr. Rice, was that you?
yes, second.
Second. Okay, there is a motion to approve and a second. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye.
All right.
The minutes are approved. Item number 6 on tonight's agenda is special use permit case number 20-09.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
do you mind if we have item number 11 moved to the next item? Yeah, which is
I have
recreational marijuana.
Do any of the commissioners have an objection? Seeing none, yes, we will move item number 11 up on the calendar. So the first item we'll consider, item number 11, is discussion concerning possible text amendments to Yuma County Planning and Zoning Ordinance to regulate recreational marijuana establishments and related land uses that Proposition 7 has made legal under state law. Staff?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is a request to, or it's a discussion item concerning proposed text amendments to Yuma County zoning ordinance. And the proposed changes are to implement the changes or the language that was passed by Proposition 207, which became effective November 30th of 2020. And the current zoning ordinance allows medical marijuana in the C2 and light industrial zoning districts with the approval of a special use permit. So the proposed language that's in your packet today and the revised memo was sent out to the Planning and Zoning Commissioners is to also allow recreational marijuana in C2 and light industrial zoning districts with the approval of a special use permit. Again, we're just changing some language and some definitions that are in the current zoning ordinance and adding establishments as part of the language of the zoning ordinance. The sections that will be affected by this amendment are section 202 of the zoning ordinance, definitions, sections 612.03 of the zoning ordinance, section 613.03 of the zoning ordinance, section 1116.00 of the zoning ordinance, and basically the entirety of section 116.00 and its subsections. There was also an error that was pointed out by a member of the public in section 116.03. It references section 404.02 of the zoning ordinance. It should be section 402.02 of the zoning ordinance. And I've already made the changes to that portion of the language.
So Maggie, your hopes for this tonight is for the commission to review this and make a recommendation, or will we have a public hearing on these proposed changes?
Mr. Chairman, the purpose of today's hearing is just a discussion item to present the changes that staff is proposing.
Okay,
Um, these changes that are before you today will also be sent to the Board of Supervisors for their input. Once once the Board of Supervisors provides us with their input and comments, the item will be brought back to the Planning and Zoning Commission for official action on the actual changes to the zoning ordinance.
but is it your intent tonight is to have a public discussion and have public comment if they want to comment?
Correct.
Okay,
In addition to my presentation, we did receive an email from David Pieser, is the last name. The P&Z Commission Administrative Specialist sent out the email that was received from the gentleman. Would you like me to read it into the record, or is it something that you would like to read into the record?
well, I'd like for you to read it into the record.
Sure.
That was easy choice.
Okay, so the memo states, thank you for the opportunity to address the committee by email. With the passage of Proposition 207, Arizona enters into the modern era. Adults are now free to use products of the cannabis plant without the worry and stress that was life under prohibition. Those responsible adults relegated to criminal status by bad public policy. Fortunately, the era of bad cannabis public policy is coming to an end. As the committee moves to update local ordinance, accommodate and regulate adult use cannabis businesses, facts are necessary in order to make informed decisions. There are misconceptions and misinformation circulating that seems to give rise to resistance and hyperbole. The most commonly heard critique is the fear of cannabis stores on every street corner. Prop 207 is very clear about the limits on the number of marijuana establishments. There will be only a single marijuana establishment license allocated to Yuma County, no more, just one. These state-issued licenses are limited by statute for one for every 10 pharmacy licenses. There are currently 1,330 pharmacy licenses statewide. There are about 130 operating medical marijuana dispensaries in the entire state. The allocation scheduled for this year will exceed the 1-in-10 ratio in several years, or for several years. Thus, there will be no more allocations in the foreseeable future. The allocations beyond the 1-in-10 rule were necessary to fulfill the mission directive legislated by the passage of Proposition 207. Several counties were left with less than 2 medical marijuana dispensaries. Some counties had none. This left medical marijuana patients with no access to medicine. A flaw in the initial allocation of medical marijuana dispensaries allowed those rural dispensaries to relocate after 2 years. It was an unintended consequence of poor legislative language. Prop 207 addresses this lack of access by allocating 1 or 2 marijuana establishment licenses to counties with less than 2 dispensaries. Thus, Yuma County will be allocated this one single marijuana establishment license. The license holder may choose to open anywhere in the county, but keep in mind there is only one. It may end up in Yuma City, Welton, Somerton, or in a rural county such as Dayton, county location such as Dayton, or a county area adjacent to Yuma City. With these facts, any concern of proliferation of marijuana stores is unfounded. With just one new marijuana establishment allocated for Yuma County, it is imperative for the objective of serving the population that the licensee not be burdened by language that effectively gives a county-wide monopoly to the current dispensary operator. There is currently only a single dispensary operating in Yuma County. There were 2 awarded by ADHS in the initial CHAA allocation in 2012. The other dispensary never opened and subsequently moved the license to another locale due to restrictive zoning and other unknowns. This left Yuma County residents with no choices of access to their necessary medicine. Many communities in the state have recently been urged by well-meaning out-of-state consultants to disallow the new adult use marijuana establishment by zoning in the current medical marijuana dispensary by language that only allows a single dual establishment. This approach has unfairly granted a virtual monopoly to the current licensee in a given jurisdiction. Whatever the reactionary intent of such a move, it results in an unfair marketplace that does not serve the public interest and good old American values of free market and choice for consumers. Our hope is that the committee will move in the overwhelming public interest as evidenced by the success of the proposition to add marijuana establishment to the current ordinance that addresses medical marijuana dispensaries and maintaining current reasonable zoning, tax, and conditions. Best regards. Mr. Chairman, that was the end of the email that was sent to staff.
Okay. Is there any commissioners who want to make any statements or before we hear from the public?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I might make a comment.
Mr. White.
I'm curious about one thing. I look at the new law and how these are going to be basically for selling to the public, and think they might differ a little bit from the previous structure that involved the growing and so forth. And maybe I have it wrong, but it seems to me like, say, bars, restaurants serving alcohol have the same standing under C1 or C2. And at first blush, I'm kind of the opinion that these new sales outlets should have that same standing, so that perhaps, I believe they still have to have a special use, but that these should be allowed in C1 as well as C2.
Very good. Thank you, Paul. Commissioner White, any other commissioner want to make a statement before we hear from the public?
Mr. Chairman,
Ms. Black?
I see a lot of what's going on, in the county especially, and these, I don't know what they're classified as, but they're in residential areas. That certainly is not what I'm hearing. I know these are dispensaries, but now that the legalization has come about, I think people have taken it to another level of operations. People do it for a side hobby job because they like to do it. And I see it in residential areas here. So somehow we need something in this that protects residential areas. And that would be my only point to this.
Very good. Thank you, Commissioner Black. Any other commissioner? If not, we will open up to the public. Is there anyone in the public who would like to make comments on these proposed new changes to the zoning ordinance?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Burke.
Hi, Kent Burke. You said you wanted my address?
Yes, name and address, please.
Okay, Kent Burke, B-E-R-K, 14220 North Site Boulevard, Suite 135, Scottsdale, Arizona 85260. So just a brief comment. I'm an attorney and looking into getting into this business. And I wasn't sure if the panel was aware that the State Department of Health has, per Prop 207, implemented some strict regulations and timeframes within which anyone who would wish to open an establishment in the county needs to submit their application to the Arizona Department of Health. And that deadline is March 9th. And if the application is not submitted by March 9th, then I believe that applicant would be immediately excluded from being able to obtain a marijuana establishment license from the state of Arizona. The reason that's a problem is because part of the rules through the state requires any applicant to have already designated a location that the local zoning administrator has identified as an eligible location. They don't necessarily have to already obtain a special use permit, but it has to be within a zoning classification that is acceptable. So it's kind of a chicken and the egg sort of a situation, but the bottom line is until the county has passed this new zoning ordinance to permit this use within whichever zoning districts you permit it, it's impossible for a potential applicant to identify a location and then get that under contract or whatever the case might be, and then get this verification letter from the Yuma County zoning administrator to then be able to complete the application package to the state of Arizona. So perhaps you all are already aware of that, but that March 9th deadline is going to come up here pretty quickly. And I don't know how long it will take for the county to address the proposed amendments.
Yes, well, thank you, Mr. Burke, and perhaps we could go back to staff, to Maggie, and ask Maggie if those are right. That gives us 41 days to have the zoning ordinance in place. Is that reasonable?
Mr. Chairman, even if the zoning ordinance language that is being proposed is not in place by that statute or that state deadline, if somebody wants to open a marijuana establishment, they could apply for a special use permit for a medical marijuana establishment. And if that's approved, they could also have recreational marijuana at that site.
Okay, so just to make sure I understand then, until this new zoning ordinance or amendments are addressed and adopted, the medical rules and zoning ordinance will apply to new applicants under Prop 207?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Maggie. That was very helpful. Thank you much. Anyone else from the public who would like to comment on this?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, name and address for the record. Who is?
My name is Yuri Downing. I'm from Scottsdale, Arizona, 4400 North Scottsdale Road. Can you hear me through the mask, or should I remove it?
Not very well. Could you remove? Yeah, you might want to remove it or get closer.
Okay. I think it's chopping off my head. My name is Yuri Downing. My address is 4400 North Scottsdale Road in Scottsdale, Arizona. I drove down here today because I have been corresponding with Maggie and with others in the offices, trying to get some clarity as to what the policy is in the county. At first, it was more of a curiosity because I was actually not in this jurisdiction, but I realized I'm actually doing this for the good of the people. I'm not going to be, I hadn't planned on putting an application through the county, but I want to demonstrate the problem with the simple assumption that Maggie and others in the office are making. I'm going to read you an email that I sent Craig, which explains the problem. Yuma County does not have an adult use or recreational establishment zoning policy. It's apples and oranges to compare medical and recreation. And it does not, and your current statute don't meet that. That's not your problem. Whether the attorney in Scottsdale is able to put in an application or not in time is not Yuma's problem. If somebody wins in a different area of Yuma County, they might want to move into a Yuma unincorporated area. What you want to do as Yuma is to take your time and write rules that make sense for Yuma County. Don't be pressured by people saying they need a form sign, That's what's happening with Maggie and Craig in the office. The problem is Maggie and Craig are signing forms that say that the use is permitted when there's no such statute, there's no such zoning for recreational or adult use. Essentially, you have administrators making policy. There's been no public hearings other than this, and they're signing forms, if I understand correctly, and Maggie, correct us if I'm wrong, but they're signing the Department of Health Service form saying that the proper zoning for those establishments for adult use recreational, when that's not true. So the problem lies, and I just pulled one property up, which I'm probably going to end up buying, 13215 South Frontage Road. Anybody else is welcome to have it. It's right next to a library, pretty close to a daycare. And if you sign my form, I'm going to put 10 applications in for that property. I'm probably going to win. I'm probably going to put it there. I'm teasing, but not really. The problem is until you have your policy thought out with public comment and established, you're just going to allow people to get forms to game the system, which is what I was kidding, but not kidding about doing. And we're going to put it wherever we like because you signed the form that said it was okay. I don't mean to sound so accusatorial, but it's not Yuma's fault that the timelines were short. Don't feel pressure. Take your time to do this right. In other words, make the decisions about adult use, which are distinct from medical use. The people are distinct, the crowds are distinct. We are talking about stoners now. We're not talking about patients. So make those decisions wisely. Don't allow administrators to sign forms, which if I understand correctly, Maggie and Craig are signing every form. They'll be signing a form for this property, and this will have 10 applications, and that's where you're going to have an adult use dispensary right next to your library. Personally, I don't think that's a problem, but that's what you're allowing administrators to do, and they're taking the power out of the Board of Supervisors, putting it into their hands. You know how that goes in Michigan, and sadly that would have been a joke until we saw recent events in DC. The reality is this is the Board of Supervisors and the public's decision how to handle adult use, not an administrator being courteous so that people can game the system and get a place in Yuma County. The reality is people are talking about Yuma County as the easy place to get a signature. That's not what Yuma County is about. Make your policy, think it through. Mr. Burke, so what if you can't get a place out in Yuma County?
Please, now you have to, sir, hold on just a moment. You need to address your comments to the chairman and not to members of the audience or staff.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'm certain that you do not want your policy set by administrators. If that was the decision of the board, then let that be the decision. But right now, if the administrators are signing forms that are based on medical marijuana statutes and rules and zoning, that is not the same as adult use. The public has a right to make that distinction.
I believe we got your point and appreciate it, and thank you so much.
I look forward to seeing you at my discussion.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public who would like to make comments concerning this proposed change to the zoning ordinance text?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, where did that come from?
No.
Oh, no, Mr. Chairman. Okay, thank you. All right.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Bobby McDermott. I in the memorandum that we received today, I see no definition of an establishment. We're just coming in and changing a word, but if that word is so important, then I think we need to have some sort of a specific description, perhaps as to, what zoning areas it can go in and how close they can be together and all those sorts of things. Because just changing the word really doesn't to me satisfy the problems. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner. And any other commissioner? Go back to Maggie. Maggie, you are going to forward this recommendation from staff up to the Board of Supervisors for comment. Is that accurate?
Mr. Chairman, that's correct. I will be forwarding the proposed language and all comments that were received at tonight's meeting to the Board of Supervisors.
Okay.
And there is a definition on page 1 of your memorandum for a marijuana establishment.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I'd like to point out that this proposed amendment isn't going to change where currently you can have a recreational marijuana establishment. We already adopted regulations for medical marijuana, and by Prop 207, we can't be more restrictive than we are with medical marijuana with the recreational marijuana. So at the present time, anybody who has a property that's in C1, I'm sorry, LI or C2 and obtains the special use permit could then apply for a recreational marijuana on that parcel. We had so far just one parcel that got that special use permit. They never followed through and it reverted. But this amendment, all it's going to do is adjust the wording to make it clear that our ordinance addresses medical marijuana and recreational marijuana. It's not going to change anything. It would still have to be LI or C2 and get the special use permit from the Board of Supervisors. Now, Commissioner White indicated he thought this should be expanded to C1. So that's something that Maggie would let the board know that there was that comment. So we could make recreational marijuana more expansive, allowed in C1 and so on. But all this proposal, at least as written, would change nothing from what's allowed today.
Right, I think I've got that we could, anyone who has a property that now would qualify for the medical marijuana could qualify for the recreational marijuana. And just by jumping through the same hoop. So it would be no more restrictive, but it would be exactly the same. And if Mr. White's recommendation were to be taken by the Board of Supervisors, that would be perfectly in line with the proposition because it's less restrictive.
Correct, Mr. Chairman.
Very good. Thank you for that. That cleared some stuff up for us. All right. Is there anyone else that wants to make any comments or discussion on the proposed change to the text of the zoning ordinance? If not, Maggie, do you need the commission to act on this tonight, or do you want us to approve staff's recommendation, or do you want to just send it up to the board?
Mr. Chairman, the action by the Planning Commission would be to forward the proposed language and all comments received to the Board of Supervisors.
Well, that sounds reasonable. If there's no more discussion, is there anyone else that wants to discuss at all? If not, then a motion to forward the language along with the comments as presented to the supervisors is in order.
Chairman.
So moved.
Chairman, sorry.
We have a motion by
Chairman.
Commissioner Back. Who's trying to get my attention?
Public.
Yes, public. Go ahead, public.
Forgive me, just point of clarification. So
Your name?
my name is Yuri. My name is Yuri Downing, and I just wanted clarification. Currently, are forms being signed for any property under medical marijuana rules for adult use, even though there's no adult use policy? Are they signing forms for the state?
I will pass that question on to staff in just a moment. So is that your only question?
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you.
Right. So we have a motion by Commissioner Black. Is there a second?
Second, Ron Rice.
The second by Ron Rice. Under discussion, staff, do you want to respond? Are we delineating and signing forms as the Scottsdale citizen has suggested?
Mr. Chairman, we did sign one form earlier this week for a site that was submitted to us. There are 4 boxes that can be checked on that form. That is a form that was developed by the Arizona Department of Health Services. So if a property meets one of those requirements, staff is signing the form and checking off the applicable or appropriate box.
So you know already that you can't be more restrictive than the medical marijuana, so you know what you can do at that point.
Correct.
All right, is there any discussion on the motion and second?
Mr. Chairman, I do have a question.
Yes.
And I'll pose this to Maggie. In this particular residential property that I witnessed is sponsored by USDA, but it is a hub for recreational marijuana. And is there something that is allowed, something I don't know? I mean, who gives the authority for that?
Mr. Chairman, I'm not aware of any sites where medical or recreational marijuana would be allowed in residential districts or a residential area. So I'm not sure. I know there's a distance requirement. It requires for the county that the property be zoned C2 or light industrial, and that a special use permit is approved for that site. And it also requires, in addition to the zoning and the special use permit, it requires a separation of 500 feet to a property that has a residence, a religious facility, or an educational facility.
Okay, Maggie, what I'll do is I'll forward you that home advertisement so you can take a look at it.
Sounds good. Thank you.
And Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just to address something that apparently this attorney from Scottsdale is saying. He's suggesting that staff is signing forms indicating that they have the appropriate zoning at this time. Right now, there's no parcel in Yuma County, the unincorporated area, that has the necessary special use permit. So while staff is signing the forms because they're required to, they're checking the box to indicate that that parcel does not have the necessary zoning.
Okay, I'm gonna, would you come
Very
over?
good.
I'm up in my office on a Zoom meeting, okay?
Somebody needs to mute themselves.
But she's there at the house waiting for you. Oh, okay. Well, I'll get over there. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Ron, you need to mute yourself, Ron.
What's
All right.
that?
I said you might need to mute your mic there.
Yeah, I got a phone call I didn't need.
Okay. Any other discussion before we take the vote? All right. All in favor of the motion to send the proposed draft to the supervisors with all of tonight's comments, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion was approved unanimously and is headed to the supervisors.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Okay, next item on the agenda is we will go back to item number 6. Item number 6 is special use permit case number 20-09. Core Engineering Group, agent for LS Enterprises Incorporated, requests a special use permit per section 614.03J of the Yuma County zoning ordinance to establish a caretaker's residence on a partial 1 acre in size zone heavy industrial. It's assessor parcel number 665-29-101. It's located at 1389 South Arizona Avenue in Yuma, Arizona. Staff report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Juan de Rubio, planning and zoning. Let me go and put the PowerPoint. There we go. Okay, so this is as you stated, this is a special use permit case number 2009. This request is for a caretaker's residence on a parcel of 1.0 acres in size, zone heavy industrial, and it is located in the Yuma Mesa planning area at 1389 South Arizona Avenue. And the RV is being requested to provide security on the property. This is the case map that shows parcel 101, crosshatch in the center. That is the location of the subject property. As you can see, the property is on heavy industrial, and the property is also located within a county island, which means that the subject property and the others in white, shown here, are surrounded totally by City of Yuma municipal boundaries. As stated, zone heavy industrial to the north, to the east, and to the south. And to the west, we have the Yuma Cemetery, west of Arizona Avenue. This is the site plan provided by the applicant. It's a very busy site plan. It's important to note the location of the caretakers in red. And there's some buildings here and parking areas and stuff like that. Septic tank. This is an aerial imagery that shows the subject property and surrounding land uses, industrial uses, and the cemetery to the west, and the railroad to the east. This is a picture looking north from Arizona Avenue. This is looking south from Arizona Avenue. This is looking west from the subject property towards the cemetery. And this is looking east from Arizona Avenue towards the subject property. We didn't receive comments from the general public, but we did receive comments from the City of Yuma. And it's important to note because it's surrounded by City of Yuma municipal boundaries. State law requires that the property conform to the city's general plan. And the City of Yuma's comment was that this proposal will be in conformance with the City of Yuma general plan. And with that, staff is recommending approval of this special use permit with the following operational conditions: that the approval of the special use permit is based on the site plan submitted by the applicant. Any changes to the site plan will require approval by the plan director pursuant to the Yuma County zoning ordinance. And also the following performance conditions: that within 60 days of approval by the board, that the applicant provide a ARS 121134 waiver and record a navigation disclosure statement. And that concludes staff's presentation. Ready to entertain any questions.
Thank you so much. Is there any commissioners that have questions for staff? Seeing none, is there anyone? We'll open the public hearing portion of the meeting and ask, is there anyone in the audience here to speak against this proposal? No one can. Yes.
No, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. No one to speak against. Would the applicant like to say anything?
This is.
Yeah, can you see me? Did I say something?
Who's seeking recognition?
Mr. Chairman, this is Doug Nichols, Core Engineering Group.
Yes, sir.
The owner, Mark, he's on also for comments or questions. We don't really have anything to add except thanks for staff on helping us work through this process and getting it in place. But we're here to answer any questions if there are any lingering questions.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chairman.
And we have Mark is here that would like to comment.
Yeah, can you see me?
No.
Not yet.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, my name is Mark Chaffo. I'm known as Tow Truck Mark. I have facilities. I've been in the towing business for 45 years, and I have facilities in Desert Center, Lake Havasu City, Parker, Quartzsite, Siloam, Blythe, and now Yuma. I'm in business in Yuma now because for the last 5 years we've sent heavy-duty tow trucks down there. We do the large commercial vehicle towing. Services are really needed down there. It's important to gain the trust of law enforcement, which means care, custody, control of the vehicles, and having their trust. A lot of these vehicles are stored with criminal and civil holds, so it's really important to safeguard these vehicles, and that's why all my yards everywhere have on-site security. In 45 years of business, I've never had any had to make an insurance claim for theft and what have you. And I just want to run a clean, tight ship and safeguard everybody's personal property. sometimes there's criminal holds and civil holds on these vehicles. When I purchased the property from the realtor and went and toured the property, there was like 2,000 tires, barrels of oil. The place is a garbage dump. Pride of ownership, I've got it all cleaned up, looking good. Um, and I just want to be able to safeguard people's personal property. When the realtor showed me the place, there were several RVs on the property, hooked up and in use, people living there. It's come to my attention that there was a house built on that property from the 40s. Electric, water, and septic is there from the 1940s, before the law was even written. It is to the best of my knowledge, that property's been inhabited continuously since then. I guess that's all I want to say. I just want the opportunity to store cars there and protect them. My neighbor next door has a on-site caretaker. We have problems with the homeless people living in the rock piles out behind the property, and once again, I just want to protect my property, but more importantly, protect other people's property that we're in charge of. I think that's all I got to say.
Well, thank you, sir. We appreciate you sharing, and welcome to Yuma. We always like new investment in Yuma. So is there anyone else in the public or that would like to speak concerning this matter? Hearing no one, we'll close the public hearing portion of the meeting and return to the commissioners for action.
Mr. Chairman, you take a motion?
Absolutely, sir.
I would recommend approval of special use permit case number 20-09 as presented.
There's a motion by Commissioner Black.
Second.
And the second is by
Commissioner White.
Commissioner White. All right, is there any discussion on the motion to approve special use permit case number 20-09 as presented? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is approved unanimous.
I just wanted to say thank you.
Well, you're welcome, sir, and thank you, and again, welcome to Yuma. Case number 7 on our agenda tonight, rezoning case number 20-21. Applicant Haley Morgan requesting rezoning of a 5-acre gross parcel from rural area 10 to RA rural area 10 acre minimum to RA 10 to suburban ranch 2-acre minimum. Staff report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Juan Del Rubio, Senior Planner with the Planning and Zoning Division. Let me go ahead and share the screen. Okay, well, thank you again. This property is located in the Yuma Mesa Planning Area at 3742 West County 17th Street in Somerton, Arizona. And the intent is to divide the 5 acres into 2 parcels for residential development. This is the case map that shows parcel 2 crosshatched in the center, the location of the property. And to the north and to the south and to the west, we have property zone RA10. Parcel 1 is currently open desert under the state of Arizona, and parcel 3 to the north is in citrus production. Parcels 3 and 36 immediately to the east are zone SR2, and they contain single family residence and a manufactured home. Oh, this is shows the location of the arrival departure corridor. I would say like maybe 5-10% of that corner is within the arrival departure corridor. This shows the aerial imagery of the property. It shows the surrounding uses, not much, citrus, open desert, some residential development to the east. This is looking at the property that shows the location of the existing home and some accessory structures. This shows looking west from County 17th Street. As you can see, this is where the improved portion of County 17th Street ends. This is looking east from County 17th Street. Staff did not receive any comments from surrounding property owners. The staff is recommending approval of this rezoning case with the following performance conditions: that within 60 days of approval by the board, the owner or agent shall provide an ARS 121134 waiver, record a schedule for development disclosure statement, record an agricultural disclosure statement, and an aviation disclosure statement. And also the following schedule for development: that within 1 year of approval by the board, the property shall be split in accordance with the site plan submitted by the applicant by means of a land division pursuant to the Yuma County zoning ordinance land division permit, and that all lots shall be provided with means of irrigation and access to irrigation water prior to development of any of the existing parcels. The owner must submit a letter from the irrigation district to our department confirming that a satisfactory irrigation system is in place and that all lots will have access to irrigation water. That concludes staff's presentation. Ready to entertain any questions.
Thank you, sir. We'll come to the commissioners. Do any of the commissioners have questions for staff at this time?
Yes, Bobby McDermott.
Yes, yes,
On the drawing, if you could put that back up, is the parcel, I was out there today and I was looking at the site, and I was just curious. There's newly planted trees there. There's a ditch on the east side of the parcel, but it only goes halfway after a check gate. That part of the ditch is not does not look usable. I was just curious if they were dividing it east-west or north-south. Because if it's being divided east and west, whether there is an access or there's something that makes it access available through the front parcel to the back one.
Mr. Chairman, let me look at the file. I don't remember the split. The property will be split from north to south, and it'll be parcel 1 will contain 2.2 acres, and parcel 2 will be an L shape. I'm not sure why I did not include it on the PowerPoint presentation, but yeah, north to south.
Okay, so they'll both have access off of County 17th.
They will.
Then, yeah, okay. So then my only other concern is that back parcel is, or the east parcel is gonna, or at least that there's adequate water since they've got new trees planted there. That's all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any other commissioners have questions for staff? Hearing none, we'll open the public hearing portion of the meeting now, and I would ask if there's anyone in the audience that wants to speak in opposition to this report.
Yes, this is Pat Morgan, 3742 West County 17th Street.
Okay. Yes, you're recognized, Pat. Go ahead.
Okay, so before I sell the east side, there will be an easement for me to put a pipeline into my 2 acres. And that's already agreed upon by the individual that's going to buy it, who planted the trees, by the way. Now, the ditch below the check gate is usable on my side. The other side, it's a little sketchy, but it's as it was years ago when they were farming. They're using on the west side, they're using that south end of that ditch on a weekly basis for those trees right now.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Do any commissioners have questions of the applicant? If not, we'll ask if there's anyone else in the audience that wants to comment concerning this case, rezoning case number 20-21?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
No, no problem.
No. All right, so we will close the public hearing portion of the meeting and we'll come back to the commissioners for discussion and action.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve the request.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner White to approve, to recommend approval of rezoning case number 2021, and it's seconded by Commissioner McDermott. Is there any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion is unanimous to recommend approval of rezoning case number 20-21. We will now move to item number 8 on tonight's agenda, rezoning case number 20-22. Kevin Dahl, agent for the Peterson Family Trust, requests the rezoning of a parcel 2 acres in size from suburban site built 2 acre minimum to suburban ranch 2 acre minimum. Staff report, please.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, well, we have a commissioner seeking recognition.
This Commissioner Mulhern, I need to recuse myself on rezoning case number 20-22.
Let the record show that Commissioner Mulhern has recused himself concerning case number 20-22. And now we would ask staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Juan Leal Rubio, Senior Planner with the Planning and Zoning Division. Let me go and share my screen. Okay, so this request is the property is located in the Yuma Mesa Planning area, in the vicinity of the northeast corner of County 13.5 Street and Avenue 6 and 3/4 E. And this intent is to allow the installation of a manufactured home. It doesn't change anything other than just changing the allowed use to a manufactured home. This is a case map that shows parcel 7 cross hatched in the center, and we see parcel 8, 9, and 10 to the north, zone also SR2, location of site built homes. We have parcel 197-21005 to the northwest, and parcel 6 and 7 to the west. Parcel 5 is currently open desert. 6 and 7 contain dwelling units. And parcel 6 to the south is also zoned SR2 and contains, SSB2 and contains a site-built home. Parcel 5 to the east is zone RA10 and I believe contains a site-built home. This is the location of the property, aerial imagery. This is looking north from the road. It is public right of way, but it's not maintained by the county. This is looking south from the road. And this is looking west from the suburb property and looking east at the suburb property. The property does have, it's somewhat improved. It has a block wall around the perimeter of the property, and it contains, I believe, like little shades for horses. We received no comments from surrounding property owners, and staff is recommending approval of this rezoning case with the following performance conditions: that within 60 days of approval by the board, the owner agent shall provide an ARS 121134 waiver, record an infrastructure and agriculture disclosure statement. And that concludes staff's presentation. Ready to entertain any questions?
Thank you, sir. Do any commissioners have questions of staff? Hearing none, we'll open the public hearing portion of the hearing tonight. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak against this proposal? Hearing none, would ask the applicant if he would like to comment.
Chairman, no, we have no comments.
Okay, with no one else wanting to speak, we will close the public hearing portion of the meeting and bring it back to the commissioners for discussion and action.
Mr. Chairman,
I will move to approve.
I will second that.
So we have a motion by Commissioner White, seconded by Commissioner Black, to recommend approval of rezoning case number 20-22 as presented by staff. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried unanimously. The recommendation will go to the Board of Supervisors. Next item on tonight's agenda is item number 9, minor amendment case number 20-07. Mr. Osmond, agent for Garamello and Antonio Ramirez, requested change the land use designation of a partial 4,247 square feet in size from medium density residential to business park. Staff report, please.
Mr. Chairman, I'm Juan Leal Rubio, Planning and Zoning. Just to let you know that this minor amendment and the rezoning case, which is rezoning case 2023, are going to be presented concurrently because they're both on the same property.
We will open them both up for presentation.
Thank you, sir. Let me share my screen. This minor amendment case number 2007 is to change the land use designation of a parcel 4,247 square feet in size from medium density residential to business park. The property is located in the Yuma Valley Planning Area at 18860 South Main Street in Gadsden. This is to accommodate the rezoning of the suburb property from R16 to CC2. This is the case map that shows parcel 57. Suburb property, as you may or may not be aware, about a month and a half ago, we presented cases for parcel 91, portions of 92 and 58 that were also being amended. This parcel was left out, so they're now coming back and including it because it is part of that larger project. This is looking north at the suburb properties parcel. And we received no comments in support or in opposition from surrounding property owners. And the staff is recommending approval of this minor amendment because the amendment is consistent with the existing character of the Yuma Valley Planning Area, because the amendment will be an overall improvement to the plan since this will ensure development occurs in a coordinated, contiguous, and comprehensive manner. And the amendment is in character with the existing land uses and supports the policies of the plan to provide consistent land uses. And I will go ahead and proceed with the rezoning case number 2023. And this also is to rezone the same property from R16 to C2. And this is to develop the automobile sales lot. This shows parcel 57 with the surrounding zoning. Immediately to the north west, we have properties owned by the industrial parcel 90. We have parcels in yellow, all zoned R16 and contain site-built homes and some manufactured homes. And we have parcel C2 up further north. That portion of property, I believe, has a little office on it. And we have parcels to the east, 52, 49, 51, and 50, zone R16, and contain some agricultural activities on parcel 51. And 52 and 49 and 50 have site-built homes. And further south, we have a parcel in ag, zone RA4. And to the south, we have parcels 91, 58, 92, which are part of the same project. This is the aerial imagery that shows the activities that I mentioned. And this is the site plan that was provided by the applicant that shows how they intend to develop the property, the office and the car sales lots, and then the crosshatches, the lot that is being included with this proposal, which will also be part of the access from 95. This shows picture looking west from Main Street, looking south from 7th Avenue, ag, looking north from Colorado Street, the residential area. And we did not receive any comments. Staff is recommending approval of this rezoning case with the following performance condition, that the applicant within 60 days of board approval provide a ARS 121134 waiver and record agriculture disclosure statement. And that concludes staff's presentation. Ready to entertain any questions.
Thank you. Do any commissioners have questions of staff on today's minor amendment case or the rezoning case at this time?
Yeah. Yes, Mr. Chairman, just one.
Yes.
Since we're going to a car lot, I'm assuming it's going to be paved and whatever. I just am wondering about drainage in the area, if there is any runoff, whether there's going to be an on-site drainage. The soils down there are really, really heavy. So and with the agricultural across the road, I would hope that they would have some on-site drainage retention.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Yeah, as part of the project development, the engineering requirement is that they provide on-site retention.
Thank you.
Any other questions from commissioners to staff? If not, we will open the public hearing portion of the meeting for the minor amendment case number 20-07 and the rezoning case number -20-23. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak against these proposals? Hearing no one, does the applicant wish to speak?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Hello, good afternoon. My name is Irving from Osmo Engineering. I'd just like to thank you for your support and your time on this project. That'll be
Thank you. Did we get your address?
I work on 183 East 24th on here in Yuma.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Anyone else from the public would like to speak on either of these cases? If not, we'll close the public hearing portion of the meeting and come back and deal with item number 9, the minor amendment case number 20-07 for discussion and action.
Mr. Chairman, you take a motion?
Absolutely, Commissioner Black.
I'll make a recommendation for approval on minor amendment case number 20-07 as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Black with a second by Commissioner Mulhern to recommend approval of minor amendment case number 20-07 as presented by staff. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? The recommendation is unanimous. We will now deal with item number 10, rezoning case number 20-23. Commissioners will have an opportunity for discussion or action.
Mr. Chairman, will you take a motion?
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion to recommend approval of rezoning case number 20-23 as presented.
I'll second.
And the second, the motion was by Commissioner Black with the second by Commissioner Mulhern to recommend approval of rezoning case number 20-23 as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The recommendation for approval will be unanimous on item number 10, rezoning case 20-23. We now go to item number 12 on tonight's agenda. It's discussion by the commission members and planning director of events or current events and the schedule for future planning commission meetings. Anyone have anything to offer there?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question of Maggie. I hope it's not an inappropriate time, but I had emailed her regarding the Dairy Queen traffic situation out here. I wondered if Javier had had a chance to look at it.
Maggie, still with us?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I find out to, I did actually inquire. Let me. I did send an inquiry to staff about that. The property was reviewed at the time of permitting and it met all the parking and circulation requirements.
Okay. Well, I just commented they are still directing drive-through traffic behind the block of buildings that houses a shoe store, the Thai restaurant, the Boys, and Crazy Earl's. And those businesses use that corridor for trash collection, delivery of food and beverages, and also for the Boys uses it for their delivery drivers to pick up from the back of the restaurant and take deliveries out. And while we may have given approval, we probably didn't see the actual operation of the traffic plan. And I don't know if that matches what was explained to us or something changed. But at any rate, I think there is an issue there. And I don't know what the proper recourse is for addressing it. I suppose the stakeholders would probably need to complain.
Very good. Is there any other discussion under item number 12, tonight's agenda? Hearing no one, the next item on the agenda is to adjourn.
Good night, all.
Right. Good night, all. Thank you all.
Everybody, thank you.
See you next time.
Good night.